welcome, everybody. It's Tuesday of the week, and I wanted to get started today with an interview of Michelle Thomas. Say hi, Michelle. Michelle Thomas is a recent graduate of my Style Your Life coaching program, and I really was excited to have you here. Just her experience in the program and what she went through, because a lot of times you have either been on a launch with me or been on a webinar and you don't really know what it's going to be like to go through the program. So it's best to hear from somebody that's already been through it. So congratulations, first off. I know we've been talking about this for a long time and you made it through the program. And so I really want to explore with you today, Michelle, what was going on for you even before you met me, or before, we started originally talking, that this might, that there was like maybe something that wasn't right in your life or something was off, can you describe that?
Well, for me, my mom passed away in 2020, and we all know about COVID. And for me, it was just, I decided in 2021 at my mom's 1-year anniversary to get on a plane and take a trip on my bucket list. And I had to decide to start living my life. And I knew that getting on that plane and doing something and getting outside my comfort zone was imperative for me to take next steps in doing that. So that was kind of like the catalyst for me deciding to do 1 year of major growth and kind of take a year off of work and just focus on me and my 3 boys, and going to the next level in my life, which, was kind of scary because I did 1 year of a lot of travel almost every month, and seminars and personal growth and real estate related conferences. And it was just very action packed. And I saw you come across Facebook one day, and I know that we are tied to some of the same personal development groups. And so it just kind of hit me that if I want to get to where I want to be, that I was going to have to take steps in this direction for growth. And so that was kind of the catalyst for it. So I started talking to you approximately a year ago about this, and I wasn't quite ready for that. I was going on a 9-day women's leadership seminar in New Mexico, and I said, I'm not ready yet, Dr. Shelley. And so we revisited towards the end of the year, and you said, if not now, then when? Because when will never come. And that's when I said, I think she's right, because we keep putting things off.
Yeah.
Put them off and we put them off, and then when never comes. So it doesn't matter about the money or anything. I mean, if you really want something, you'll find a way.
Right. And so how did that feel, like moving up to the decision and then after the decision that you made?
It was scary. I mean, there's always a lot of anxiety around things when you have fear of the unknown, but I think that's just part of the growth process. Is you can't have fear and operate from a place of love. So
Right.
Learning to work through that fear and to elevate and go through it has been like huge and life changing. I'm not even, you told me a long time ago, a year ago, Michelle, in 1 year, you're going to be amazed at how much you've grown and where you were, like, from this point, 1 year from now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see the growth. Like, even though I never got a chance to meet Bob Proctor, I always wanted to. I've done a lot of listened to a lot of his stuff and whatnot. And through this growth and the people I've met, either through your program or outside of the program, I have grown.
Mhm.
And it's just been amazing. Like, I don't have the anxiety and the fear that I used to have. Just because I've done a lot of work on myself and, done some different things outside of this. But I've just learned a lot about myself through your program and then doing some stuff outside of it, but everything is growth. And it's not an easy decision. I mean, it's a personal decision, and, everyone's got to make a
Yeah.
decision for themselves, and
Where
that's
would
what
you say, where would you say you started with your style? You were, with how you were dressing, or how did you feel about your clothes?
well, I really didn't know much about style, and I would just wear whatever at that point because I was also on a weight loss journey. And so I didn't know much about how clothes looked or felt, or I never consciously stopped to say, how does this material feel, or how do I feel on these clothes or colors? And that's something I started to do through your program. And so now I do. I
Hmm.
shop colors and how they make me feel. And I also know that, colors have frequency and vibration, and it's scientifically proven. Materials do also. And I've done a lot uh, studying about this on my own.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I didn't know much about it because I wasn't taught. You don't know what you don't know. So going through your program, I learned about these things.
Hmm.
And I love this yellow. I would have never worn
Yeah.
this for
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
and being about it. And every time I wear it, I get compliments. I feel good.
Yeah.
I, uh,
Amazing. It's part of your color scheme that, is works good for your natural body colors.
yeah,
So it really is great. And you've had so many compliments on it, and so would you say it's your go-to color now?
one of them, yeah, because I
Yeah.
feel it's very optimistic.
Hmm.
I always get told, here comes sunshine. It matches your hair. You just radiate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel good. It's
Yeah.
amazing, what colors do for you and
Yeah.
materials do for you when you wear them. So.
Well, so you mentioned real estate. So tell us what you do for your work.
So I'm in real estate, and I started a team. It was one of my dreams. I didn't realize how much work it would be.
Mhm.
Uh, However, we have a team. It's the Michelle Thomas Arizona Homes team, brokered by EXP currently, and yeah. So one of the things I've learned through Dr. Shelley's program, and Dr. Shelley, is colors matter with your marketing and whatnot. And I've been able to take that into my business. And we're planning our pictures around colors and marketing, and the way they make you feel, and the way people see and perceive things at a subconscious level. So this program's really helped,
Yeah.
you know, with not just my personal style, but to teach people on my team about it, and then also going into our marketing as well. So
Yeah, I think that is like so important to emphasize, because that was like an added bonus that you didn't realize was going to come from learning all of this about color, style, fashion. And then I think you also said when you're staging a house, looking at it in that way too.
yeah, absolutely. So looking at the different colors, like when we walk into a house, you know, houses have a certain feel, right, and style, but just staging a house according to colors, and knowing whether we have to lighten an area or, um, you know, do different color contrasts or whatnot, it's helpful,
Yeah.
definitely. and learning the different colors from the color wheel and knowing the different colors, which I didn't have any really concept about before. Now I do. So
Yeah.
it's been very helpful in that aspect.
So Michelle is your expert in either selling your home or buying a home. If you're in the Arizona area or want to be in the Arizona area, I guess to reach out to her in Messenger for that. We also talked in the very beginning of the program, we used these 3 words to describe like where you want to be in your style, and then kind of where you moved to through your style. So what were some of the words that you were using about yourself and kind of where you wanted to go with your style in the beginning?
So my words were classy, sassy, sexy, and edgy. And what I realized is that I ended up with classy, sassy, um, sexy, and boho.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the ones that I ended up with. Not so much edgy.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how does it help you to kind of like be able to succinctly describe yourself in just a few words?
Um, how do I describe myself in just a few words?
No, how does that help knowing those are your words? Like, does it help when you're getting dressed in the morning? Does it help you keep this image of yourself in what those words represent?
I would say so. I think that confidence, definitely. I mean, I had done so much work liking who I was and the person I staring back in the mirror, and I think that your program really helped get me through one of the hardest humps in that I stayed stuck on one of the topics for 2 or 3 months before I could move forward. Because it's styling your life from within, so that the inside and the outside match. And it's work.
Yeah.
Um,
Talk
so
talk about that, because I think that's important for people to know. We talk about the style and your clothes on the outside, and everybody wants to feel and look their best and be the right style for their business and that kind of thing. But the importance of style is really expression of who you are. So I have an aspect of the program called inner style transformation, where you really go into the who you are part more. And so if there's anything that's blocking who you are from shining, then we need to, what I always say is, take the rotor rooter out and clean out the pipes. So why, I mean, you just say you got stuck in that area,
so there
and did you feel supported in that process as well?
I did, and I think that the universe has a way of working things out. It was an area of forgiveness. I think it was a module, I think it's 2 or 3, where we had to go in and do forgiveness. And
Mhm.
I had some forgiveness I had to go back and do, and I was just stumped. I mean, you can go through counseling and you can go through talk therapy for years, and sometimes you still have an issue that's unresolved and you just don't realize it. The program, you know, I got to that module and I was stuck, and I realized I still had some unresolved anger issues towards
Yeah.
somebody I'm not going to mention, but I had to resolve that because I couldn't move forward. I was
Right.
stuck. And we don't realize that sometimes we get stuck in our own issues, whether we cause them or not. Part of personal development and self-healing is yeah, we may not have caused the issue and maybe we didn't deserve the things that happened to us, but as adults it's our responsibility to heal ourselves.
Mhm.
So that was the hardest thing for me, was that. But getting through that led me into other aspects of healing, and going into some hypnotherapy, which I highly recommend. That I was able to relinquish that, and also, deal with some anxiety and fear and issues, and that I, wasn't able to deal with before.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So when you take on her program or anything else, it's work. I mean, it's because it's not just the outside. Like, we are a reflection of who we are at the soul level. And if everything is energy and vibration and frequency, then that's going to radiate to the outside. And we reflect how
Yeah.
we are being and how we're dressing and what we're presenting to the world. And
Yeah.
that's what people are going to pick up. And that is, Dr. Shelley really does a really good job in her coaching to really help you with that. And she's very empathetic and loving and caring in her approach, to make sure that we get through these things. And she was very patient with me, because it took me a while to get through this one module to get on to the next. So
Yeah, if you think about, like, a lot of people have self-criticism, an inner critic, or maybe a love-hate relationship with certain aspects of their bodies, or and if you have those things going on the inside, then that is kind of that negative vibration, or that's going to be not congruent with where you want to go. So you really have to learn how to shift that. And one of the things I've learned recently that I'm going to do more of a talk on really is that the things that affect us most in life are the unseen thoughts in our mind, are the unseen even gremlins in our closet, the unseen things about our clothes that aren't working for us. So a lot of people are mindset coaches now, and that's for sure an aspect of what I do in this coaching program. But the unseen of what are the thoughts you're thinking about your body, about your style, about who you are. And those are the things that create sort of a glass ceiling of how far you can go. So that inner transformation is so important. And I love that you kind of moved into like the boho, or realizing that that was also an aspect of the style that you want to have, and also recognizing that this is fluid. It doesn't, like, style doesn't really ever stop. As you grow, it continues to grow. As you go to your next level, it continues to grow. So what you're learning in Style Your Life is how to become your own stylist, to take charge of your personal style from the inside out, and then grow with yourself, to keep moving in that aspect of your life. So then we move into the outer style aspect of the program, which you've talked about a little bit, includes your body type, your colors. Is there anything else you wanted to say about the outer style aspect of the program?
well,
Oh, I know. We have the closet, releasing the old and making space for new. That's another aspect.
I didn't really have a hard time with that, because when it came time for us to get to that part, because I had lost so much weight in the year previous, I kind of had already gone through so much of my stuff in my closet and my dressers, that I didn't have a whole lot to let go of, per se. The thing I had to let go of, and I'm still working through it, is old jewelry that I've had. So looking at it now, and I'm like, this stuff is like, I don't even think I want any of it. So I'm just probably get rid of it all, because it just doesn't suit what I'm trying to accomplish anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, jewelry is an interesting thing, because I had a friend that used to work at a jewelry store, and she would always tell me, never throw away your jewelry, because it'll always come back into style. And the nice thing about jewelry is that it doesn't have to fit you, as far as if your weight goes up and down, that kind of thing. So, but there is I think there is something about opening up the space for new to come in, not hoarding or hanging on to things. So I think there's two different philosophies that you can use around jewelry. I too have a bunch of pieces that I'm not wearing now, but I still love them. So even there's one piece that in my mind I see it and I think I'm going to pull that back out because I have a desire to wear that again. And at one time I was going to sell it and I was going to give it away. So now I'm happy that I still have it. So, it's whatever you decide to do, it's right. If you decide to let go, then even with clothing, I always say, hold it up to if it doesn't fit, if you've gained weight or lost weight, it doesn't fit, just ask yourself, is it me now? And is it the person I want to become, when I get to my next level, and if it's not either of those, then it's probably time to let go with the clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna say is the one of the biggest things that I pay attention to is before I would just put on clothes, right? If it might, I would have a concept of whether it looked decent or not, but I didn't ever pay attention to how the fabric felt or how I felt in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing in the mirror, whether I'm dressed or not. I really have learned, and this is something you taught too. It doesn't matter what your size looks, who you are, or whether you like your body or not, but you have to learn to love your body. That is your body. It's housing your spirit, your soul, and you only get one. So you have to learn to love your body, the body appreciate. And that is something that you really emphasize to all of us. And when you start learning of your body and talking positively to it, and Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this too, is we build at it at our molecular and cellular level, right? We build these, but you have to love yourself in the skin that you're in. I mean, there's something to that. So I just tell myself, I love you, body. I love you, legs. I thank you. Thank you for letting me wake up and breathe and allowing me to walk and taking care of me. I'm going to take better care of you. But I can genuinely look in the mirror every day, first thing in the morning before I've done anything, and go to the mirror and look myself in the mirror and smile and say, you know what, Michelle, I really love you.
Mm-hmm.
I love who you are. I appreciate you. I love you, and you're worthy of love. And not everyone can do that, but I've done a lot of work, and I know a good place to be at. But going back to the styling your life, I put on my clothes and I can feel confident. And if I don't like the way it feels, I don't wear it.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes the difference, because when you're putting out that positive energy and you like how you feel and you like the way you look and you leave your house and you go out into the world that way, people can feel that energy.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest takeaways that I've learned from your program is really, if you don't like the way it feels, if you don't like the way it looks, even down to your bra and your panties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. And I learned that from Bob Proctor, told me that he did that all the time. And I really think you just encapsulated, your time in the program so well. The one thing I want to just hit on is the body love, because and what you're saying to your body and saying about yourself, that's that stuff you can't see that's really affecting you. And it's really hard to change. The only way that changes is through repetition, constantly, every morning, shifting the narrative that you're saying to yourself and that you're talking to yourself with, because we've been programmed that certain way to criticize ourselves, to not love certain parts of our body. We get programmed that from the outside, from advertising, get rid of your belly, get rid of your thighs, change your breasts, change your shape, look this way. We've got apps that change how we look on different programs, so it's like a constant process, that we're not only battling, current marketing, we're battling our inner beliefs that have followed us all our life. So it's really, really an important step to do with your style. And then I just loved how you talk about what I have on when I go out in the world with, if I'm not comfortable in it, that's other people are going to pick up on that, or they might, and they're not going to consciously pick up on it. They're just going to, maybe they're not going to talk to you, or maybe they'll steer away, or, something's not going to come to you that you wanted to attract, and it's going to not come that day. So style is so essential in your, who you're being. And if you have your own business, it's essential to your business. So that leads me to kind of the end of our program. I just wanted to say that the new program of Style Your Life is actually starting today. If you're still interested, I can get you going for this week and get you caught up, with the program. Just send me a message, send me a DM. We'll get on a call. We'll talk whether it's going to be a good fit for you or not, where you're at, where you want to go. So it's perfect timing to do this call with Michelle. What's one last thing you would tell people, like even considering doing this? Maybe they've been on calls with me before and they haven't pulled the trigger on going forward. What's one thing you would say to them?
I would say what you told me. If not now, then when? Because when may never come. So, we sometimes are the reason for our own demise, because we keep putting something off, and we put it off, and we put it off. And you get to decide when, and maybe now is the time. So it's a great investment, and you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And I'll definitely tell you, there's a lot to learn. You're going to get so much out of it.
Was it worth what you invested?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm still learning, Yeah.
Yeah, it's a continual process. You have access to the lessons, for the rest of your life. So, well, I don't know about for us, as long as they go into, as long as we go through time, you'll have access. So, it's really something you can continue to do, refresh, that kind of thing. But Michelle, I want to thank you so much for being on with me today, sharing your experience with people. I'm sure you've offered a lot of hope for people going through this, the challenges of life, whatever they're going through, lots of examples. We will see you next time. Message myself if you're interested. Whoops, that's the alarm. If you're interested in going further with the Style Your Life program, message Michelle. If you have any real estate needs, buying, selling, anything like that. And I'm sure she can help you out. Wherever you live, I'm sure she can help you out. So, all right, we will talk to you soon. And thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.